The anime begins with two high school students, Yuge and Mahiru, discussing on the school rooftop. Their discussion takes a serious turn when unexpectedly, Mahiru reveals that she's pregnant. Hearing this, Yuge is taken aback by this revelation. Mahiru explains that they've been a couple for 3 years and have shared many experiences, particularly recently, where they've grown closer emotionally. As Mahiru intends to reveal who the father of her baby, suddenly a strong wind blows, accompanied by a large light in the sky. With a circle of ancient Japanese spell, the green light absorbs them, causing them to vanish from the school roof. Shortly after, Yuge finds himself stranded in a different dimension, an empty, uninhabited place, with Mahiru lying unconscious nearby. They still don't know where they are. However, at that moment, Mahiru reveals that she's pregnant without a father. Yuge is stunned by this revelation, prompting Mahiru to explain that she's noticed changes in her body recently. After checking her symptoms on the internet, it turns out she's pregnant. Furthermore, Mahiru has already bought pregnancy tests 3 times, all of which came out positive. While Yuge was still surprised by Mahiru's explanation, he suddenly gets thrown a long distance. At the same time, symbols appear on Mahiru's cheeks, and a glowing purple ball emerges from her mouth. This ball changes into a large monster with gray skin and green eyes. The monster approaches Yuge and attacks him. Yuge realizes that if he doesn't move and dodge, he will die. Surprisingly, the same symbol that was on Mahiru's cheek appears on Yuge's right hand. This symbol gives Yuge a sword capable of cutting the monster in half, after the powerful sword defeats the monster, creating a small opening in the surrounding wall. Eventually, they escape and discover they're trapped in a forest. Shortly afterward, a flying squirrel named Mana appears. The creature senses maturity in Mahiru, leading to speculation about her virginity. Soon after, a man named Narcistes arrives with Mana. Narcistes explains they are in Granvania, and identifies Yuge and Mahiru as Mirabito, based on their symbols. Narcistes also warns that it's very dangerous for them to be outside the city as Mirabito. Narcistes also reveals that he is an educator in the kingdom of Granvania, and extends an invitation for Yuge and Mahiru to visit Granvania Castle to meet the leader. Yuge and Mahiru then find themselves at a large and lush green castle. Narcistes explains that in Granvania society, their world is known as Sola or the Earth World, while for them, Granvania is referred to as the world of magic, indicating they are in another dimension. They are introduced to Sunrila, the powerful leader of Granvania. Sunrila presents a condition for Yuge and Mahiru. If they want to return to the human world, they must save Granvania. Yuge then asks what conditions they must fulfill, but Mahiru suddenly falls ill, requiring urgent treatment. This sparks suspicion from Mana regarding their relationship, even suggesting they had a romantic involvement. Despite Mana's teasing, Yuge continues to ignore her. Shortly after, Yuge wakes up to find himself restrained to a bed frame. After that, a royal doctor named Rion arrives and explains that there are 12 symbols representing zodiac signs on Yuge's body, signifying his ability to combat monsters. He is tasked with navigating a labyrinth to eliminate impure monsters, including a formidable ruler among them, and to recover the lost star fields. Further details about Rion's explanation are accessible through a web link provided by Mana, which Yuge is astonished by the advanced magical world of Granvania. Rion further explains that as a Mirabito, Yuge will be supported by 12 sacred maidens in his quest, with Mahiru being one of them. Being the Virgo zodiac sign. Mahiru, among the other maidens, is assigned the task of diverting the attention of the impure monsters leader so Yuge can secure the star fields. Mahiru realizes that her supposed pregnancy symptoms are the manifestation of her role as a holy maiden, thus confirming she is not truly pregnant. However, Yuge is required to engage in intimate relations with the 12 holy maidens to conceive children through a unique, unclassified relationship. Mana clarifies that by having children with the 12 holy maidens, Yuge can save the world. Eventually, Yuge and Mahiru return to their original world, although feeling uncomfortable, understanding that they must fulfill this duty for Granvania and themselves to return to their original human world. The sacred ritual is conducted to give birth to a star child capable of defeating the evil monsters, alongside Yuge and the 12 maidens. When Yuge touches Mahiru, the star child. Surprisingly, the seemingly intimate moment orchestrated by Mana was a trap, as only physical contact and emotional closeness between Yuge and Mahiru were necessary to create the star child. After that, a girl being the Virgo constellation is born. The following day, Yuge apologizes to Mahiru for the awkward incident from the previous day. Even though they hadn't proceeded with the child-making process, the encounter had left Yuge feeling uneasy. However, Mana persists in bothering them. She then expresses disappointment that Yuge didn't follow through with the scenario. Hearing Mana's inappropriate comments, Mahiru finally pushes her away. Shortly after, Yuge wonders about the whereabouts of his daughter, and Mana explains that the Virgo star child is currently residing in an orphanage. She clarifies that the purpose of the Virgo star girl's birth is to undergo mental and physical training to combat enemies alongside the Murabido and the Holy Maidens, ultimately to save the world. Mana then invites them both to a village where they will attend one of the necessary classes. At the end of an alley, they encounter a beautiful woman in white who accidentally bumps into Yuge. The woman carries a book and a piece of bread, then hurriedly leaves without saying a word. Shortly after, the trio enters a classroom filled with Holy Maidens, where Rion is the instructor. She introduces Yuge to the 12 Holy Maidens, starting with Ari representing Aries, who serves as a church attendant, followed by Tarua, representing Taurus, who works as a package courier in the castle area. Next is Lyres, representing Gemini, a unique individual whose personality changes when her head is struck, resulting in 2 distinct personas. Then there's Ruka from the Cancer constellation, who turns out to be the girl who bumped into Yuge earlier, and one of the Holy Maidens with whom Yuge must engage intimately. Following Ruka, there is Femi Runa, a holy Leo maiden known for maintaining peace. Then Mirai, representing Libra, works as a magical researcher. The rest continues with Sue from Sagittarius, Fallen from Capricorn, who is an adventurous bar worker, Khalid the Aquarius bread seller, and Yuzua from Pisces, who paints at home. Finally, from the Virgo constellation, there's Mahiru. Witnessing all the Holy Maidens leaves Yuge astonished. Playful then, Mana teases Yuge by handing him a manual on navigating intimate scenes smoothly. She also confesses to orchestrating Ruka's encounter with Yuge as outlined in the book to accelerate their chemistry. Shortly after, Mahiru, Yuge, and Mana walk alongside the rice paddies. At that moment, Mana still detects an underlying connection between Yuge and Mahiru, beyond their friendship in the human world. After that, they encountered Narcistes and the Holy Maidens who were going somewhere, eventually deciding to join them. During this, Lyres causes a disturbance due to her dual personalities. Amidst the chaos, Yuge attempts to depart and observes Ruka gathering flowers in the garden for the orphanage children. Ruka tries to approach Yuge to understand him better, but she fails to read his mind, making her shyly walk away. Shortly after, Mahiru, slightly intoxicated, approaches Yuge. She wishes to remind him of a promise they made 10 years ago in elementary school, but Yuge has no recollection of it. Mana overhears their conversation and teases Yuge again, curious about their past. However, Mana doesn't receive a satisfactory answer but remains curious. After that, Mana shows them the orphanage where the star children are trained for combat. At the gate, Yuge observes Virgo Jr. undergoing rigorous training until exhaustion. Coach Aldi appears hesitant upon seeing Yuge and recognizing him as the Murabido. Mana explains that Yuge and the star children must eradicate impure monsters in unexpected locations within the labyrinth. She reminds Yuge once more that his duty is to have 11 more star children to enhance his combat abilities, emphasizing the necessity of performing a love ritual with 11 Holy Maidens. However, Yuge remains uncertain about who else besides Mahiru he's familiar with. Mana then suggests that Ruka could help ease Yuge's discomfort. On their way home, Yuge and Mana encounter Ruka in front of her house, holding a child who fell down. Later that evening, Yuge visits Ruka's house with the intention of conceiving another star child, as there is currently only one child, and he worries that Virgo Jr. might feel lonely. Fortunately, Mana's love guidebook proves helpful, making Yuge appear more relaxed and skillful, while Ruka feels nervous as the only anxious one. Despite this, their interaction is successful, resulting in the birth of a new child to join the star children. The following day, Yuge meets Sunrila, who provides him with 12 star wards from the Holy Maidens. These objects can be used as Yuge's protection. Finally, Yuge arrives at the entrance of the sealed training labyrinth, blocked by tree roots. Inside, the maze's paths confuse him. Fortunately, Mana accompanies Yuge as a guide. She explains that once he completes this task, he can return to the normal human world. Unfortunately, Yuge's strength and abilities are not yet matched against the large robots within the labyrinth, resulting in losses for both Virgo Jr. and Cancer Jr. Disappointed, Yuge decides to withdraw from the labyrinth with the 2 girls. He tells Mana that he will have stronger children in the future. Mana then explains that for now, the two defeated star children will transform into dolls. As time passes, Mana continues to push Yuge to train, even involving the two star children. Despite this, Yuge continues to face defeats until Mana takes him to seek advice from Narcissus. According to ancient texts, Narcissus has studied, to conceive strong star children, Yuge must undergo a dual love ritual. This revelation embarrasses Yuge, prompting him to confide in Mahiru. After that, Yuge invites Mahiru to bathe together, and as they are about to kiss, Mana interrupts with a trumpet, reminding them to have an intimate moment in the place she has prepared. Unfortunately, Yuge's current physical state cannot handle the dual date, as he catches the flu after bathing with Mahiru late in the afternoon. During his examination with Rion, Yuge becomes captivated by her breast. On his way home, Yuge spots a beautiful woman dancing in a bar, who happens to be Valen, one of the holy maidens. Yuge promptly approaches her, and they agree to partake in the sacred ritual. Mana's plan for a dual date succeeds as Yuge prepares to spend the night with two girls, Fallen and Rion. Despite their older age, Yuge is determined to give his best effort. Shortly after, the two star children, Capricorn and Scorpio, are indeed born and now join the other two star children. The following day, Yuge and the star children are prepared to confront the impure monsters. With a single strike aided by his children's abilities, Yuge successfully eliminates the first impure monster and places the protective light in front of the altar. Shortly after, Yuge manages to escape from Mana, who persistently pursues him for another dual date. Seeking refuge, Yuge hides in a spacious room, which turns out to be a church, where he encounters Ari, a calm woman accompanied by children. After bidding farewell to Ari, Yuge intends to buy lunch for himself and Mahiru. However, he ends up mistakenly taking the lunch meant for Yuzua after getting caught in a clue. Yuzua, feeling uncomfortable, flees to avoid Yuge's company. Meanwhile, Mana continues to try to influence Yuge's mind with adult content, though he consistently avoids her advances. On the other hand, Yuge, feeling remorseful, attempts to locate Yuzua's house to return her lunch. Initially rejected, Yuge explains himself, and Yuzua eventually allows him in and accepts the lunch. She likes plain bread to use for erasing drawings. Yuge admires some of Yuzua's artwork as they chat and share their activities, eventually inviting her to have lunch in the park the following day. Despite his efforts being criticized by Mana, Yuge's determination is commendable. The next day, as lunchtime approaches, Yuzua arrives carrying a large box of chocolates, showcasing her artistic nature. However, a passing little girl and her mother become frightened, causing Yuzua to retreat home. Surprisingly, it is Mana wearing a mask that scares the little girl, not Yuzua's chocolate box. While in the church, Yuge seeks forgiveness for unintentionally hurting Yuzua. Upon hearing this, Ari promptly approaches him and explains Yuzua's unique condition, which complicates things for her. Eventually, Yuge extends another lunch invitation to Yuzua. He also crafts a box for her to decorate beside her own box. Together, they engage in various activities that bring joy to Yuzua. Feeling at ease, Yuzua agrees to participate in the love ritual with Yuge. Despite feeling shy, Yuge gently guides Yuzua to relax, resulting in the birth of a new star child. Not long after, Mana has prepared a gift for Yuge to give to Ari. Additionally, Yuge's combat abilities have improved, and his strength will continue to grow as he has more star children. However, Yuge is currently occupied with battles, so Mana arranges a summer vacation at the beach with the holy girls. Unexpectedly, Seiya, the most popular guy at the academy, also follows them, as Mana proudly displays beach photos. Upon arrival, Yuge is amazed by the beautiful beach. He also notices the girls in bikinis, except for Lyris, who remains at the edge of the beach under a large umbrella. Seeing Lyris alone, Yuge immediately enrages her. It turns out, Lyris intentionally avoids joining the others, because she sees something in her prediction. They also see Seiya taking narcissistic pictures. Lyris then predicts Yuge about the Gate of Death, but Yuge does not believe Lyris' prediction, so she changes her personality to Li, which refused to accept that Yuge underestimates her twin. Their argument resolves when they agree to conceive a new star child to bolster Yuge's abilities. The love ritual takes place, with Yuge performing it for the first time with two girls in one body, Lyris and Li. Shortly after, all the star children undergo training with Alvi, who they'd find to be harsh. Yuge then intervenes and embarrasses Alvi. Unexpectedly, Seiya and Aori secretly follow Yuge. When Yuge notices Seiya stalking him, he runs after him with a sword. This impresses Aori, who is also following him. Although Aori is in disguise, Yuge still recognizes Aori, making her blush and run away. Later, Aori provides Yuge with a naginata, a long metal that he can use as a weapon. She then expresses a desire to be close to Yuge, not only for the love ritual, but also out of genuine feelings. Seiya, pursued by Yuge, seeks refuge in a church where coincidentally, Aori is present. Aori offers the naginata to Seiya to test it out, but they are interrupted when Yuge and Mana arrive. Suspecting something amiss with Seiya and Aori, Mana's keen sense of smell confirms Aori's purity. However, to ensure this in a more concrete manner, Yuge invites Aori to perform the love ritual to conceive star children. Aori then presents the naginata to Yuge to enhance his combatability against impure monsters. Some time later, Yuge went to deliver flour to Khalid's house, but Khalid mistook his visit for the love ritual. Yuge clarified and decided to assist Khalid in making bread instead. While at Khalid's house, Yuge observed the various cakes she had prepared for her bakery. Despite the bakery not being very busy, Khalid hoped to attract more customers with a wider variety of bread. Suddenly, the bakery became crowded when Yuge's star children, accompanied by their trainer Alvi, arrived. The star children didn't just buy one bread each, but they wanted to purchase several. However, Yuge didn't have enough money, so Alvi lent him some, leaving Yuge indebted to her. Shortly after, two menacing monsters appeared, threatening to disrupt the bread-making process. They offered a large sum to buy Khalid's bakery due to its lack of customers. Witnessing this, the star children swiftly engaged and defeated the monsters. Yuge finally discovered that they were actually part of the Femi family, the Leo Holy girl who owned a lunch bread business. He then rushed to Femi Runa's house to negotiate with her family about the impact of their business on others. However, his request was rejected, leading to Yuge's anger and accidental attack on Femi Runa, causing her to faint. Femi Runa was then taken to a castle far from the city. As time passed, Yuge delivered bread made by Khalid to Femi Runa, hoping to persuade her to share her family's business turnover with Khalid. Eventually, Femi Runa reluctantly tried the bread, admiring Yuge for his looks and genuine intentions. Despite being confined in the castle, Femi Runa requested to be restrained again. Eventually, they agreed to take their relationship further by performing the love ritual. Although it was their first time, Femi Runa was able to control the situation, resulting in the birth of another star child for Yuge. Not long after, Khalid was preparing to participate in the bread festival at school with a recipe from her grandfather. Meanwhile, various stands, including a music concert organized by Alvi and the Star Children, were set up at the school. Shortly after, Ta-Rua delivered a letter from Khalid to Yuge. Before meeting Khalid, Yuge encountered Mahiru, Ari, and Yuzua, who were setting up their stands. It turns out, Khalid asked Yuge to support her in the competition she was participating in. After experimenting with various recipes, they found a bread and sausage combination that could potentially become Khalid's bakery's signature dish in the future. Shortly after, Yuge and Khalid conducted the love ritual to conceive a star child to combat the enemy. Upon completion, Yuge returned to the festival to discover that Mahiru and Yuzua had sold out all their merchandise. At that moment, Femi Runa arrived and offered a large quantity of undergarments to be sold with an all-you-can-take approach, which attracted many buyers, including some of the holy girls in Narkistas. Mana then approached Yuge and informed him that Ta-Rua was feeling upset about losing a letter from her boss. Yuge then went to Ta-Rua, who was searching near the river, and found the letter stuck in a tree. The letter expressed gratitude to Ta-Rua's boss for Yuge's kindness towards her. Ta-Rua also harbored feelings for Yuge, leading them to agree to perform the love ritual to conceive a star child. Shortly after, Mana announced a coronation ceremony for the Marabido of Granvania, who would be bestowed the title of bachelor for successfully conquering the 12 holy girls, which was Yuge. Mana also reminded Yuge that Mirai and Su had yet to fulfill their duty of performing the love ritual with him. The following day, Su, known for her love of animals, was deeply touched when Yuge took her on a date filled with various animals, aiming to make her feel at ease. Her fondness for animals came from her family background, as her parents were a researcher and a veterinarian who tragically lost their lives protecting her from impure monsters. Yuge then comforted Sue when she became sad, promising to seek justice against those monsters. Meanwhile, at a party organized by Mana, many holy girls enjoyed themselves, but they were curious about Yuge and Sue's date. Ruka asked Mahiru about the nature of their love ritual, but Mahiru felt too embarrassed to respond. On the other hand, Sue was drawn to a sushi stand at the food tent, while the holy girls speculated about whom Yuge would choose for the ritual. Unexpectedly, Mana had arranged a surprise, instructing the girls to climb some stairs, which turned out to be slippery. Despite the challenges, Mirai, the magic researcher, successfully reached the top and encountered Yuge. After that, Yuge invited Mirai to the pool, assisting her due to her blurry vision without glasses. After bathing, Yuge provided food for Mirai. Following that, both Mirai and Sue were selected by Yuge for a double love ritual. Shortly after, Sunrila summoned Yuge, informing him of a level 3 labyrinth that remained unconquered. Recognizing the difficulty, Yuge sought to enhance his strength and abilities. Narki stats after studying ancient documents, revealing the existence of 13 labyrinths, with one remaining undiscovered. So Yuge had to meet one new woman who would be crowned as a holy girl or even a man. Hearing this, Yuge feeling uneasy about romantic interactions with a man. Shortly after, Mana appeared and revealed that she was actually part of the impure monsters. When she was created, her creator died afterward, leaving her alone. But Mana was not destroyed. Instead, she was protected by Sunrila, the first Mirabido. Despite initial mistrust from Granvania's residents due to her background, Mana also reminded Yuge how lucky he was because many welcomed him, unlike her. Hearing this, Yuge was determined that whoever he would be paired with in the future, his goal was to save Granvania. Luckily, Yuge wouldn't be paired with a man, as he had feared. The following day, Yuge engaged in training with Alvi, observed by all the Star Children. Although they didn't emerge victorious, the training effectively improved Yuge's skills as he prepared to confront the 12th Impure ruler. Following this, Yuge prepared himself to enter the labyrinth with 3 teams, A, B, and C, each with unique strengths. They encountered a powerful monster with fire abilities, which initially posed a challenge. Despite this, Yuge and the Star Children successfully defeated it. Meanwhile, Alvi believed she was the designated holy girl, but neither Mana nor Yuge sensed this. Despite dropping hints for Yuge to pay more attention to her, Alvi's efforts proved futile. Eventually, Mana and Yuge loudly called out in the crowd to identify the 13th holy girl. At that moment, Alvi was in the crowd, shouting that she was the 13th holy girl. But by the time Alvi managed to leave the crowd, Yuge and Mana had already left. Eventually, rumors started circulating about Alvi harboring feelings for Yuge and being the 13th holy girl. Hearing this, Mana promptly approached Alvi to investigate, confirming that she was indeed the 13th holy girl. Desiring a memorable date, Alvi hoped for romantic gestures, so Mana arranged various romantic scenarios for Yuge, which unfortunately didn't have much impact with him. Nevertheless, they picked up Alvi to proceed with the love ritual, preceded by a romantic dinner. While at Alvi's home, Yuge learned about her interests and family background. Following this, Yuge provided clothes for Alvi to wear during the ritual. Unexpectedly, Alvi experienced a stomachache from accidentally swallowing paper. After recovering, she immediately put on the clothes Yuge provided and joined the ritual bed, ready to conceive a star child. During the ritual, Alvi eventually passed out as her body condition had dropped significantly. The following day, Sunrila contacted Yuge during the festival to discuss the 13th labyrinth and its formidable monster. Yuge was taken aback, realizing that his previous victories might be in vain if they couldn't overcome this final challenge. Because the Star Children were not strong enough for the 13th labyrinth, Yuge had to sacrifice himself to defeat the enemy. This meant that Yuge had to be ready to die for the sake of the earth. Shortly after, Yuge returned to the festival, deep in thought about his impending fate. Despite Mana's offer to accompany him, Yuge preferred to be alone. However, he then remembered Alvi, who was still sick. He then visited Alvi with food and some souvenirs for her. This made Alvi happy with Yuge's presence and attention. She then revealed a fact unknown to everyone, including Mana, that 30 years ago she was a special star child of a Mirabido and a holy girl. Unfortunately, that power had been lost. Later, Yuge returned home and shared Christmas candy with Mana, expressing his gratitude for her assistance and support. The following day, Yuge prepared for the Great Starfield ritual. where he would release the star field to confront the 13th monster, the final enemy. This meant that Yuge would be sealed alongside the monster. Mihiru was deeply saddened by this, unable to accept that Yuge would be sealed away forever. The other girls shared her grief, but Sunrila insisted it was necessary to save Granvania, stating that Yuge had agreed to it willingly. As Yuge heading somewhere with Mana, she expressed surprise at his willingness to sacrifice himself. Yuge explained it was the safest option, although deep down, he still desired a longer life, reminiscing about his time with the holy girls and his comfortable life. Meanwhile, Mana seemed delighted, dreaming a beautiful life alone with Yuge. However, when questioned by Yuge about her intentions, Mana avoided giving a direct answer. Finally, Yuge reached the nest of the 13th monster, resolute in his determination to defeat it and secure a future for himself. Yuge swiftly attacked the 13th monster, but his efforts proved futile as his sword failed to pierce it, and he was thrown away. Meanwhile, the Star Children anxiously gathered elsewhere, expressing concern for their father's safety and wondering if he would be all right. Those worried about Yuge contemplated following him to offer assistance, but Alvi intervened. Yuge had entrusted her with a message to care for the children and ensure they didn't follow him. Alvi then conveyed Yuge's message to them, though some doubted her words and some of them started arguing who their mother was. Alvi immediately urged them to reflect on the true significance of their bond. Despite the tension, Alvi was happy in fulfilling her role, likening herself to a content housewife awaiting her husband's return. However, her demeanor was met with sarcastic remarks from the Star Children, questioning if she is suitable as housewife. Alvi, feeling annoyed, reverted to her strict demeanor with the Star Children. Meanwhile, Narcissus urgently informed Sunrila that time was running out, stressing the immediate need to perform the Great Starfield ritual. However, Mihiru appeared hesitant, expressing doubts about the consequences. Sunrila reassured her, emphasizing the dire fate awaiting Earth if they didn't act promptly. He also mentioned that Mihiru might not be able to return to her home planet, Sola. Eventually, the other girls persuaded Mihiru to proceed, signaling their agreement to perform the ritual by raising their hands. Reluctantly, Mihiru joined them and began the incantation. However, when it came time to recite the chant to induce Yuge into sleep, Mihiru hesitated. She couldn't bring herself to condemn Yuge to such a fate. The mere thought of living without him was unbearable for her. Meanwhile, a sudden green magical symbol appeared and briefly restrained Yuge before disappearing, but it vanished quickly. Mana then declared that the ritual had been disrupted, and immediately the 13th monster launched an attack on Yuge, causing him to be thrown far away. The force of the attack caused the cave walls to collapse, but Yuge managed to shield himself and Mana from harm. Back at the palace, Mihiru expressed that she couldn't sacrifice Yuge to seal the 13th monster, and asked Sunrila if there was an alternative solution. Despite the imminent destruction of the world, Mihiru couldn't bring herself to sacrifice Yuge. Mirai then stepped forward and proposed a potential solution. Referring to an ancient book in the castle, she suggested that if all the holy girls were bound together with Marabito, they might gain the power to purify the monsters. However, Mirai admitted that this idea was speculative, as there were no further details in the book. Nonetheless, if successful, it could spare Yuge from sacrifice. Narcissus then expressed concern about the risk, but Sunrila insisted on attempting it first. He called upon all the holy girls to aid Yuge in saving the world. Despite their uncertainties, they rallied behind Sunrila's decision. Although uncertain, but Sunrila said he also didn't want to sacrifice Yuge. Meanwhile, as the 13th monster surfaced, the Star Children prepared themselves for battle. Alvi panicked, fearing that Yuge had died. However, the Star Children, fueled by their father's plea, felt determined to fulfill his request and protect the kingdom. At the same time, the holy girls arrived and sought their assistance. Together, they recited a spell and their bodies glowing along with the Star Children's. Their combined powers manifested into 3 robots, each emitting a different glow. Meanwhile, Yuge, buried under rubble, managed to rise with Mana's help. Sensing the unity of the holy girls and the Star Children, Mana explained the situation regarding the 13th monster. She declared that instead of asking Yuge to save Granvania, she urged him to fight for the people he wanted to protect. Mana then prepared a healing potion. Yuge then expressed his reliance on her, and they set off for the location of the 13th monster. Meanwhile, the Star Children, in unity with the holy girls, engaged in battle against the 13th monster, Despite their efforts, their attacks proved futile against the monster's defenses. When the monster retaliated, Yuge suddenly intervened, shielding them from the monster's attack. Concerned for the well-being of the holy girls and the Star Children, Yuge inquired about their condition. Mihiru then scolded him briefly before apologizing, expressing her reluctance to burden him during the Great Starfield ritual. Yuge expressed his desire to be with the holy girls and the Star Children and invited the holy girls to defeat the 13th monster together. They then launched an attack, with the holy girls aiding Yuge in repelling the monster's assaults. However, when one of the monster's attacks threatened Yuge, Alvi sacrificed herself, intercepting it with her own body. Witnessing Alvi's sacrifice, Yuge became enraged, vowing vengeance against the 13th monster for taking her life. In response, the holy girls channeled their power to Yuge, enabling him to merge his strength with that of the Star Children. Once their power had merged, Yuge unleashed his assault. However, the 13th monster evolved and retaliated, electrocuting Yuge. Despite the agony, Yuge drew strength from the memory of the holy girls and unleashed his full power. Witnessing Yuge's plight, Rasaru, one of the Star Children born from Yuge and Alvi, transformed into a weapon and cut the tentacles binding Yuge. Yuge then used Rasaru as a weapon, launching a decisive strike against the 13th monster and defeating it. With the combined efforts of the Star Children and the Holy Girls, they successfully sealed the defeated monster, emerging victorious from the battle. Yuge intended to depart with Mihiru, but the Holy Girls couldn't bear to part ways with him. One by one, they followed him, choosing to accompany him wherever he went. As they all descended into the water and fell from the sky, they suddenly found themselves in a new location. There, they reunited with Alvi and the Star Children, and the story ended here. Moral lesson from the story: sacrificing yourself wasn't as great as sacrificing a sandwich. So when faced with tough choices, always remember, a sandwich in the hand is worth 2 monsters in the labyrinth.